Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Surviving Narcissism Together. Being targeted by lies and rumors or manipulation, it could feel incredibly isolating. Friends disappear on you. My own friends, some of them turned into flying monkeys for the narcissist. Family could get involved, and suddenly you're questioning yourself whether you were wrong in any of this. After being there, I had to rebuild my circle and I had to find people that truly saw me. So, in today's video, I'm going to share 5 ways I personally rebuilt my community after the smear campaign, and I hope it helps you too. First step is really about reconnecting with yourself. After the smear campaign, I felt lost. I felt like I was doubting myself, my choices, even my personality. I had to take a step back and figure out who I was on the outside of all these lies. See, after being gaslighted and manipulated and lied to and on for so long, I felt like I was having an identity crisis. So I started journaling every day, writing down my values and what I stood for and the kind of people I wanted in my life. I also reflected on my boundaries and what I would and would not actually tolerate. Therapy helped too. Having someone talk to me about narcissism and recognizing what I went through and that I wasn't insane made me feel so validated. It made such a huge difference on me. It felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulder. So, reconnecting with yourself is essential because before you could rebuild relationships with others, you need to know yourself first. When you're clear on your own identity, it's easier. It's easier to attract people who genuinely align with you instead of people who might repeat the same toxic patterns. Another way is joining new communities. See, after the smear campaign, I realized that I couldn't solely rely on my old friend group. Some people were just lost to the drama, and it's not their fault, it's just that not everyone experiences narcissism, so they can't all relate to what I'm going through. They could be there for me, but they can't necessarily give advice the way I'd want them to. As such, I started looking for new spaces to meet people with similar interests. For me, it was joining an online support group with people recovering not just from narcissism, but toxic relationships. After I joined that group and I saw their experiences, mine felt validated because a lot aligned with theirs. I was able to open up in this support group and also be very supported. Another way is by joining like local hobby clubs, like a painting class. I joined fitness groups. I joined hiking clubs. It's not just about joining spaces with people recovering from narcissism, but it's also joining other groups, other communities with people who share the same interests as you. Even the smallest interactions, it makes a huge difference on you, on yourself. I didn't have to be vulnerable quite one time right away, but I could observe and feel out the energy of the group. Slowly, I met people who were kind, who were supportive, who were trustworthy, that I could open up to. But simply by joining new communities, I felt like I was rebuilding myself. I felt like the identity crisis that I was facing, now I'm finally being true to whom I was meant to be. If you're worried about starting over, remember it's not about replacing your old friends. I still have my old friends, but it's about creating a safe space around you and reminding yourself that supportive people do exist and it may just be in different spaces. That's all. You just have to seek them out. The third step is actually reconnecting with your old friends. See, it's necessary, but it's slow. Some friends of mine, they actually seen through the smear, but I had to approach it very carefully. Sometimes when you try to prove yourself that what they're doing is what the narcissist did is a bunch of lies, it may come across very overwhelming on your behalf. It may be very intense the way you may see it because you're so trying to get your point across that you you may seem like you're exaggerating something that actually happened. So, what I did, I started with very small gestures, a simple text, checking in casually, inviting someone to hang out. I avoided long explanations and I stopped defending myself aggressively when we met up. So, if they asked me, maybe how's my journey going, I kept it very brief and very concise. Yes, on the inside, I wanted to explode and tell them everything that I'm feeling and every way in which this person is a narcissist and whatnot. But see, if you haven't been through it, they're not going to understand it through your lens. Now, real friends recognize the truth without you needing to prove it. You need to understand that. And one of my friends, my best friends, he immediately believed me, and I felt that small reconnection. Again, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. But with other friends, I had to be very patient and let them come around naturally. So the key here really is to protect your energy while giving genuine friends the chance to re-enter your life. Slow, consistent contact often works better than trying to fix everything at once. Because when you try to fix everything at once, you again you may come across aggressive with it, and then they may think that it's an exaggerated form of what you went through, or even calling the person a narcissist. It may seem like that's just really like far. Another crucial step, I think it's one of the most important steps, is offering value and building trust. After the smear campaign, I realized that simply saying, I'm trustworthy, I'm a good friend, I was a good spouse, it wasn't enough. Remember with the smear campaign, people may tend to look at you differently and maybe believe the lies. What you need to do is provide consistent behavior, as building trust is more through actions and less through words. So what I did was I focused on small acts. So maybe a narcissistic friend of yours would have said, "You're not a good friend." So check in with your friends, help when you could, offer support, be reliable. That's what I did. Over time, these small gestures, they added up. People noticed my consistency, and trust started to rebuild naturally. Now, it is important to remember that building trust takes time, because the narcissist worked a while on your smear campaign. So now it's like you proving yourself that you're the opposite of what the smear enlisted about you. But at the same time, you don't want to come across and try to be like, I'm not this person. I'm not the person a narcissist said. Because if you do, it's going to be very intense and it's going to feel like an exaggeration, So don't rush it and don't expect immediate acceptance. But the more consistent and the more genuine you are, the more solid your new community becomes. Now, this isn't just about friendships, it applies to families, co workers, or anyone in your life. I remember I had um, a narcissistic boss, and he said so many things about me, and I had to prove to my coworkers that I'm a good teammate, I'm a good team member. So I did so by showing up, I did so by helping out, I did so by um just being very consistent with everything that I was doing. So when I was able to build that trust, it seemed like, hey, she's actually valuable, and the opposite of what this person was saying about her. Showing your integrity over time is one of the strongest ways, I think, to counter the effects of a smear campaign. Another example is like with my narcissistic ex. When we broke up, a lot of people were like, but she seems such a nice person. Why would you break up with her? He had to smear me to give a reason rather than telling the truth, which was that he already had a new supply. He already was monkey branching, right? So I know, like he said, that I was boring. I just wasn't fun. I never um I just sat at home. So instead of telling people that's not true, I'm totally the opposite of that. What I did was I did it very subtly, but I tried to show ways in which everything he said was not true. So again, like joining these hiking clubs and painting groups and supportive groups and whatnot. You take I post it or people might see me doing it, but I didn't do it like very intense. But they saw me, the flying monkeys or the people that a narcissist lie to, they would have seen me doing these activities. So now they're thinking, but wait a minute, she's doing the opposite of what the narcissist said she is, which is boring. She's actually fun. She actually has hobbies. There's actually a lot to her. So I didn't go out of my way to prove it to people, but just I let the truth prove itself. So showing that over time, it really countered the effects of his smear campaign. So that's what you really need to do is show your value, offer your value and build back that trust. And the final step is protecting your circle. So, as I rebuilt my community, I became very intentional about who I allowed into my life. Toxic people or those who would have fueled the smear campaign, they were no longer welcome. I've noticed that a lot of times toxic people try to re enter because they were seeing me improving. So they kind of wanted that to fuel themselves. I had a big boundary when it came to them. Um, I don't want you to be paranoid. The step isn't about being paranoid, but you need to understand and recognize that it's about valuing your energy and your mental health. I learned to prioritize the people who uplifted me and respected me and to create boundaries for anyone who dared to drain me. Your circle, remember, it doesn't have to be large. Just maybe a few people, but a few trustworthy people who supports you truly, who are empathetic towards you. They may not understand narcissism, but they're empathetic and would actually listen. You're worth more than just dozens of acquaintances who aren't reliable. So sometimes a small circle is actually better. Protecting your circle also means being very mindful online. So sometimes people from a smear campaign can actually try to re enter through social media or like online mutual connections. So be very vigilant of that and protect your peace. Rebuilding your community after a smear campaign is challenging, but it is possible. By following these steps, focusing on reconnecting with yourself, finding safe spaces, reconnecting with old friends, building trust through actions, and protecting your inner circle, it'll all help you become whole again. These steps will help take you out of that isolated spot that the narcissist put you in, that the narcissist beat you down and wants you to stay down in. Following these steps will allow you to find your own identity and be stable in yourself. Remember, your reputation is for you to define alone, not the narcissist, not the flying monkeys, and not anyone else who's toxic and helped fuel the smear campaign. Healing takes time, but the relationships you rebuild will be stronger, deeper, and more authentic than ever after you go through this journey. So, guys, if this video has helped you, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if there's anything you want me to speak about, any more guidance on navigating through toxic relationships. But remember, you're not alone and you deserve a supportive community. And here in our community, we're not just survivors, but we're thrivers and moving to victors, okay? So I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.